Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Welcome to, and wait for it, Heart of Christ Ministry. Yes. So I had some deep thought, deep intuitive thought. Ministry. Yes. Oh, we said. And in that intuitive thought, what I came to the conclusion of was, who truly is this ministry and what does it stand for? And the Christ consciousness has guided my life in a innumerable number of ways. I think I doubled that. And that has it's just transformed my life in a capacity that I or no one else could have thought it would in the matter of 2 to 3 years. 2 years, I think it is now, coming up on 3. So if you notice, I hadn't done a video for Heart of Christ or Lightwalker in, I want to say, 2 months. October 18th was the last video I did. And I was just really taking the time to make sure that I was in alignment with the truth of what I really wanted to do and continue to do with this ministry. And Heart of Christ is not it's not a nomenclature that I take lightly. I wanted a name to convey exactly what we were doing here, and it's understanding, that has to be present in the name. And so after some time, and I got to get going here. After some time, I realized that, it's Heart of Christ Ministry is it. So I'm your host, Reverend Shaun Robert Grant, and welcome to Heart of Christ Ministry. As always, we got a great episode for you planned today, but we got some business on hand first and foremost. Guys, thank you so much for your correspondence, your insight, for helping us to get ideas about new topics that are, going to sort of revolutionize how people see spirituality. And I'm really grateful for you for taking the time to write to us and continue to do so, because that's the beauty of any ministry, is understanding that the people are being affected in a wonderful way, because you're dedicating, what the divine has placed within you to express, to creatively express and uplift and inspire people. So thank you for that. And please continue to write to us. We love that. We love the correspondence. If you have any feedback, that's welcome as well too. Or you just want to say hello, write to us, ShaunG04@gmail.com. And I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Thank you in advance for that. For all of you individuals, men and women, boys and girls, just want to say thank you for your support, because without it, a lot of this wouldn't really be possible. So let's just say you've benefited from this ministry in the past and present, and you feel like you're going to benefit in the future when we are actively doing stuff with you. Please feel free to donate to us. Venmo, Heart of Christ Ministries, at Heart of Christ Ministry. PayPal, ShaunG04@gmail.com. And ZELLE is ShaunG04@gmail.com. Thank you in advance for that. And I thought about this, and you know what? I'm going to continue to do it, because the reality is I want to give you something for being a giver, right? I feel my philosophy is givers who give from the heart, from a place of love, need to be rewarded. That's just how I see it. So with any size gift that you give me, I am going to take it upon myself to give you an Endless Prosperity Pack, which is 5 hand-selected videos from my YouTube channel. Yay! That will really help you to experience a consciousness of prosperity. And that is something that is so very important to me, to help you to do that, especially it's the holidays, so you feel like you need a little extra cash. It's not coming from outside, it comes from within us, right? So Endless Prosperity Pack, 5 hand-picked videos on prosperity, wealth, and abundance that will elevate you to a new level. That is yours. Yeah, when you sow a seed today, as we used to say in church, or you donate to Heart of Christ Ministry. We'll cover that again once we get to the end. But today, my dears, we've got a special message. I got an upgraded microphone. Yeah. And I'm excited. I'm excited about this message because I feel in my own experience that when I learned to understand who and what God truly is, right? When I understood the nature, when I was able to comprehend it with conviction, that is when my life began to change, right? And if you don't know, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, you are God. I am God. We are all God. And you're going to find this out in just a bit. God is everything. God is everywhere. God is everyone. God is in the details of every single atom, molecule, space, time, whatever it is God. Okay? So understand that. So Heart of Christ Ministry 2022, understanding the true nature of God and what that means. So let's move into it. Part 1, okay? God is omnipresent, present everywhere and in everything, okay? So this is one of my favorites because I want to reveal to you the idea that God is everything and everything within itself, and nothing can be separate from God. But God is also the purest concept, right? Not even a concept, just an entity. The purest concept and entity there is, and there ever was, and there ever can be, right? Because God is an enigma, immeasurable in understanding, but at the same time can be revealed to us to understand, right? And it seems like a contradiction, but it's actually just the law of polar opposites working, right? A mystery and something that's illuminated are on the same line, right? So God is the ultimate expression of that. But when we say God is omnipresent, we're just basically saying God is everywhere. God is in everything. God can't be anywhere else but in everything, right here, right now, in the past, in the present, in the future. Wherever you go, wherever you look, wherever you stand, God is. God is in you, right? So I'm going to show you how this elevates your life to a new level of expression, a new level of experience. So there's an understanding that if God is everywhere, and God, there's no way that God can be lack, God cannot be discord, God cannot be struggle, God cannot be hardship. Those things are not of God. Those things are of the lower ego mind. Okay. And they're of the lower ego mind because it's created from the standpoint of humanhood as opposed to godhood or divinehood in a sense. Basically just being the essence of the divine mind. All the stuff that is along the lines of lack, struggle, disharmony, discord, hatred, all those things are not of God, because what has happened is God has given man its own ability to create, not just man, but woman, its own ability to create. And in that creation, in that free will, man has created a separation, right? And so you can't really separate yourself from God, but you can in consciousness. And when you separate in consciousness, you can actually see what unfolds when you're separate from God in your own reality, right? It shows up as fragmented manifestations, things like not manifesting enough money for yourself, not having the perfect life purpose, not having, the perfect relationship for yourself. These are all consistencies with being separate from God in consciousness, right? Now, in principle, we can never separate ourselves from God because God is omnipresent, right? Now, before this gets too confusing, I just want you to know and to be aware that to understand God is everywhere is to understand that God is in every area of your life. Okay? God is in every area of your life, which means God is in your spirituality, God is in your finances, God is in your mental, your mindset, God is in your emotions, God is in your relationships, God is in your health, your physical body, God is in your your social relationships. God is in it all, right? So if God exists in all of it, then what does that tell you? That tells you that all of those areas must be free from lack, discord, harmony, struggle, limitation, I said harmony. I think I'm in disharmony, hatred, right? Uh, jealousy, all this stuff, all of those areas, because God is present everywhere and God is present in those areas, must be free. Must be free from all of those elements. Check on my kitty. Okay, he ain't back yet. Must be free unless we are separating ourselves from God. And how do we separate ourselves from God? We see God as this entity outside of ourselves, as opposed to the unconditioned awareness, the being that is within us, that is us, that is operating as us, through us, expressing itself. I and my Father are one. All that the Father hath is mine. I am made in the image and likeness of God. Like, the scripture tells us that God is us and we are God. God is, therefore I am. So once that's not recognized, what happens is we separate ourselves from God. And when we separate ourselves from God, and I want to give you an example here. When we separate ourselves from God, what winds up happening is we live what I like to call a short-circuited life. And a perfect example of this, I talked about this on my podcast the other day. And a perfect example would be, imagine cell phone, right? So you want to make a call to talk to one of your family members or your friends, and you plan on being on the phone for, let's say, hour and a half, right? Now, to do that, depending on how new your phone is, you're probably going to need 70+%, right? I remember when my phone was newer, it lasted longer, but you're probably going to need between 70 and 100% in order to make that call, okay? Now imagine you plan on being on the phone for an hour and a half and you only have 10% of battery. What's going to happen? You're going to get cut off after a few minutes, right? Shit, iPhone cuts itself off probably after like 5%. So, but if you look at that example, it's the exact same way. When we are separated, when we're not completely full, which is 100% knowing that I am God and God is me, we short circuit our lives. And so that starts to look like, once again, not following your highest purpose, the career that's going to bring you the money as well as the fulfillment, not being in a relationship with a person who's going to not fulfill you, but enable you to grow so you can help you to fulfill yourself on all fronts, right? And your health, right? Not doing the things that you need to have an infinite amount of life force streaming through you every moment of the day. This is what happens when we are separate from God. And so I want you to keep in mind the whole idea of separation, because it affects all aspects of God. But let's move on to the next one. Okay. So God is omnipresent, present everywhere and everything. The next one is God is omnipotent, all power, ability, and activity, right? So I love this, because this tells us, this should be able to remove any doubt whatsoever, no matter what it is, right? It should be able to remove any doubt whatsoever from the standpoint that all power, all ability, all activity is in God. So what does that mean? If there is something that I choose to do that I want to do, like me doing this right now, God is in all activity. God is in all power. God is in all ability. God is in me, right? So once I know that and I embrace it and I realize it and I have that consciousness about it, bada bing, bada boom. I am ready to fully and creatively express myself because I know that God is omnipotent, right? So that's one of the most compelling aspects of it. Another aspect, because this has been a money ministry for the longest time, if God is all activity, that means God is in your bank accounts. God is in your credit card, your investment accounts, right? God is in the activity of your chosen career. God is in the activity of your relationships, right? God is in all power, right? The power you have to transform your life, to elevate yourself to a higher awareness that allows you to live a better life. God is present in that power that gives you that ability, unless, and you got it, unless we separate ourselves from God, right? And in principle, that's a really hard thing to do. It's almost impossible, but in practicality, we do it all the time, right? We separate ourselves. The moment we live in a limited capacity, we see things from a limited perspective. And this is all about your subconscious mind, which is your unconditioned awareness, the I amness of you. It's convincing it. It's getting to a place of conviction where you know, without a doubt, through perception alone, you don't even have to think about it. You just know that God in you is limitless, right? Unlimited and infinite in every single sense of the word, in every single capacity. Okay. So knowing that, why do I need to be worried when it looks like on the outside, right, things are not going in the way that they should? This is perfect too. Let's say you're caught up in some legal battles, right? Excuse me. Let's say you're caught up in some legal battles, or you're caught up in a process that's taking a long time. Just affirm God is omnipotent. God is in all activity. God is in this activity giving me exactly what it is that I need, as long as I am realizing that I and my Father are one, and all that the Father had is mine. He is in me and I am in him. God is, therefore I am. As long as I'm realizing that on my subconscious level, this thing is going to work itself out because it has to. It's God's consciousness. God's consciousness can only produce the essence of what God is, not what man makes it to be. It can only be what God is. It can only be love, right? It can only be wholeness. It can only be allness. It can only be infinitude. It can only be grace, right? All these work by grace. But if you look at your life and you know all power, all ability, all activity is God's, right? No matter what it is, it may look like nothing in your life is happening. And I'm telling you, the activity of God is moving in the spiritual realm to bring about whatever it is that you require and need, especially during this time of the year, right? This time of the year, there's so much opportunity and possibility for people to fall into limitation, right? But we are and never have been limited beings unless we choose to separate ourselves from the limitless being, which is God in us. Other than that, limitation can't exist. Lack can't exist. The very first thing the Course in Miracles teaches us if you're familiar with that, right? The very first thing it teaches you is how to let go of lack, how to renounce lack to get to the point where it does not exist, right? Number one and number two are two amazing ways to do that, to understand. If God is present everywhere, there can be no lack. If God's power, God's activity, God's ability is everywhere, there can be no lack. So what causes lack? The lower mind of man, right? The lower mind, the egotistical mind, the human mind causes lack because it separates itself from the all that is, from the great wholeness and allness and infinitude that is God. Okay? I love this. This is so amazing. Number three, God is omniscient, right? Should be omniscience. God is omniscient, all knowledge, all wisdom, all insight, all understanding. So I broke out into like a hallelujah when I first learned this concept. And the reason being is because this concept showed me, check my kitty. This concept showed me that there was no way that I could ever be confused unless I separated myself from the essence, the realization, the consciousness of God within myself. There is no way I could ever be confused about anything. There is no way that anything that I had to know and be aware of wouldn't be revealed when I understood with conviction that God is omniscient, right? God is omniscience, the whole essence of it, right? And that, like the other two, transformed my life in a way that alleviated so much stress. Because what causes stress is the anxiety sometimes and the control of wanting to know what's going on, wanting to know what is, wanting to know, oh, is this going to work out? Well, God is omnipresent, which means he's present. God is omnipotent, which means he's in the activity, right? He is the activity, right? God is omniscience, which means the knowledge, the wisdom, the insight, the understanding is going to be revealed to you to let you know that everything, that God's got it, right? That the power of God is working in your life. The grace of God, Bible says the grace is sufficient for every good work, provides abundantly, every good work through grace, right? So, in knowing that, why is there ever any reason to panic? Why is there ever any reason to be stressed? Why is there ever any reason to feel like you're out of the loop, right? This I find is so important in early relationships. I mean, relationships that last a long time too, as well. But if you're ever in a relationship and you're just starting and you're trying to figure out what's happening. And I wish I had the luxury of knowing this, in the past, but I know it now. And so it's a possibility that I can help you understand that as we are one with the Father and the Father is one with us, right? One with God, God is one with us. We will know, it will be in plain sight, any wisdom, knowledge, insight, and understanding that we need to receive and have, right, to make a decision as it relates to a relationship. Business relationships, right? There is never a time when I'm about to get into business somewhere with someone where the essence of God within myself does not show me who this person is. It is in their behavior. I'm going to share a secret with you. Never listen to what anybody says per se. Pay attention to how they behave, right? Because behavior comes from the subconscious mind. Behavior is going to show you who that person is, right? I learned this with my movie that I've with a GoFundMe, and anybody can say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to give to you. I'm going to give to you. Trust, I got you." And then nothing happens. The reality is, it reinforces the idea that all knowledge, wisdom, insight, and understanding is not only of God, but it's right in front of you, because God's always going to reveal to you exactly what you need to know. And what is that? In this state in place, I needed to know that sometimes what people say is not what they mean. And that's just a level of conflict within. But hey, that's not for me to be concerned about or worry about. I'm just thankful that I'm able to see it in action and then make a conscious, coherent choice about how I proceed. And that's the magic of the omniscience, because you're always you're always going to be in the knowing, right? You don't have to stress yourself out by trying to know if this is right, if I need to go in a different direction. You follow the truth that is within you completely 100%. And then if there is something you need to know, man, every single time without fail, the essence of God reveals it to you, shows it to you, says, this is what's happening here. This is from the standpoint of an entity that can see things from an unlimited, an infinite, a limitless, I got to emphasize that, number of perspectives. It will show you as clear as day. Now, it's up to us to make sure that our awareness is able to embrace it, so to speak. Okay, because if our awareness is not there to embrace it, what's going to happen is we're going to fall short and we'll miss that quote unquote red flag that the divine is showing us through the omniscience of God. But trust, this works in relationships, in business relationships, and where you want to go on vacation, where you decide what, like for me, I've used it like, what Publix do I want to go to? Because, some of them have your stuff and some of them don't. Like, in God will reveal to me, God will reveal through me. See if you caught that. God will reveal through me by all of a sudden the car has saved the address of the Publix that I'm supposed to go to. And so I follow that. And then I go there and it's got everything I need. Or I just ask. I ask intuitively and I see which one feels of the highest vibration. So the omniscience is something that's ever present. It's always there. If at any point in time you feel lost, if at any point in time you feel confused, see where you're separated from your God source, the God self that is you, right? And then once you heal that separation, you're in an optimal position to receive the essence of all three of these powers, of all three of these elements. And so this is really cool. I'm about to do a segment on this on my podcast here in just a bit to activate, so to speak, to adopt these into your consciousness, which is your way of being, your way of life. What needs to happen? Okay, what needs to happen is, and this is the simplest way I can give it to you. And all I'm doing, I'm pointing you to the truth, but the truth has to be revealed within yourself. I can't give you truth. I can only point it to you, right? Or point you to it, towards it. So how I did it is I would meditate and I would say, I am God, right? I am God. And if I am God triggers you a bit, just say, I am. I am. And so do that for an extended period of time and just let the vibration of God come over you. Allow that to bring together every aspect of your being into unison with God and watch. Everything becomes clear. The very first time I did this, I feel like it's so important for me to share this. The very first time I did this, I meditated on it. And all of a sudden, every single limitation that I had dissolved. And I mean, limitations with money, limitations with whether or not I should start, a ministry, whatever it is. Almost 3 years later, here I am. When I realized that I am God and God is me, God is, therefore I am, all of my limitations left me. They dissolved. I was up to another level, a different level. I started to manifest in the God-like capacity. And that was because I healed, or I just corrected. You don't even have to heal. I just corrected and shifted from separation to God to oneness with God. And that transformed my life, and it can do the same for you. So look, one of these episodes does no justice because we can talk about this for like hours at a time. But the reality is the power is in you. The power is in your spiritual hands. It's up to you to decide what to do with it, right? And when we do decide what to do with it, and we use it in the purest divine essence possible, great things unfold. Really, really amazing, wonderful things begin to manifest. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Where you at? It's been an amazing session. I'm actually going to go look back at this in a little bit. But with that being said, guys, if you have any questions, because I know this is a topic that can sometimes it can fly over your head, but the reality is you continue to familiarize yourself with it. And then as you do, what you're going to find is it's going to elevate you to a new level. Okay. But stick with it. Remember, truth can only be revealed to you, can't be revealed through any teacher. It can only be revealed inside of you. God has to be the essence. God in you has to be the essence to reveal it to you, right? No other entity or person can do that. They can only point you to it. So if you have any questions, any correspondence, any feedback, please, by all means, write to us, ShaunG04@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this taping, you enjoyed this message, please, by all means, donate a seed today. Venmo at Heart of Christ Ministry. PayPal, ShaunG04@gmail.com. Zelle is the exact same, ShaunG04@gmail.com. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And thank you in advance for that, because once you do, we will give to you once again, because I feel like givers should be rewarded. Endless Prosperity Pack never gets old. 5 handpicked videos. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 5 handpicked videos to help you go from zero to infinitude in prosperity, helping you to make your consciousness relevant as it relates to manifesting your supply, right? And that goes way deeper beyond paper money, right? This is some esoteric spiritual stuff that is, I feel like I explained it pretty well. So anyway, with any seed donation that you give, that will be yours, my dears. And I thank you in advance for listening to me. This has been a great message, long message, but a great message. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be sharing. I got an upgraded new mic. Oh, I can't wait to hear that sound. But all things aside, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If I do not see you before Christmas, I know Hanukkah is right now. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays. Just live life to the fullest. Sometimes we think life has to be a certain way in order for us to live it in the very best way possible, like we need a certain amount of money or we need a certain person or whatever it is. None of that matters. All that matters is what's inside of you, and that is the God in you. And you can enjoy any and everything that you so desire by realizing that truth. With that being said, Have a wonderful day. Once again, happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you, and we will talk soon. Thanks so much. Take care.
Every dream begins with a vision. A vision that sees everything before anyone else ever can. A vision that ignites the endless power to make all your dreams come true. Your truth